Good morning, children. Today we are going to see the topic structure and functions of heart. In the previous class, we discussed about the circulatory system, and that, as I already mentioned, that there are three major components which involved in it. They are blood, blood vessels, and heart. So in that, in the previous class, already we discussed about the blood and the components of the blood and also the blood vessels. And in today's class, we are going to see about the structure and functions of the heart. The human heart. Can you see the image here? The heart is a muscular organ and which is located between the lungs in the center of the chest. Just to see the picture, in the center of the chest, between the lungs, the heart is placed, and it is about the size. If you find the approximate size of the heart is the size of the fist. What is fist? Yeah, in our hand, all the fingers, if you hold together tightly, that is called as a fist. So approximately the size of the heart will be equal to the fist. Heart, it pumps the blood continuously around the body. It pumps the blood around the body at different speed and the pressures according to the body's need. As I already discussed in the previous class about the blood pressure, so it may depends upon the activity, the blood pressure also may rise or lowers. If you involve in the athletic activity or if you do some serious works, the pressure of the blood pumping may differ. Now, let us see the parts. The heart, it is divided into two major halves, left and the right hand side. Each half acts as a separate pump. See the image here. The heart, it consists of four major chambers. It is clearly shown in the image. The right atrium, left atrium, right ventricles and the left ventricles. So the human heart consists of four major chambers and each half consists of upper atrium. Can you see the upper chamber? It is a right and left atrium, and the lower chamber is the ventricles. Now, the the upper chambers, that is atria, are very thin-walled cavities and it receives the blood from the veins. Usually the artery which may receive the blood from the different veins. If it is a right-hand side, it may receive from the vena cava and also from the cardiac veins, and the right or left atrium you can find the pulmonary veins. So from both the atrium, right and left atrium, it receives the blood from the veins. And two-layer chamber, which is called as the ventricles, it is thick-walled cavity. Compared to that of the atria, it is thick-walled cavities that receive the blood from the atria and pumps the blood away from the heart through the arteries. The cavity of the heart is divided completely. Can you see the image here? The right hand side and left hand side has been completely divided with the help of a septum. Right hand side and left hand side, we are going to see some point about the right hand side heart. Right? So, as always, keep it in your mind, right always carries the deoxygenated blood. Okay, deoxygenated blood that returns to the right hand side of the heart via vena cava, and deoxygenated blood is pumped to the lungs via pulmonary artery. So right hand side, number one, it carries the deoxygenated blood. Number two, from where it may get through the vena cava, from the different part of the body tissue, it receives the blood and enters into the right hand side, and from the right hand side chamber, it enters into the lungs for the purification. So this is what about the right hand side. And if you look into the left hand side, the left side of the heart receives the oxygenated blood. So it is nothing, the blood is rich with oxygen, right? So oxygenated blood from the lungs via pulmonary veins, right? So number one, it carries the oxygenated blood, and through the pulmonary veins it receives, and the left hand side, once if the heart pumps the oxygenated blood, it moves to all parts of the body via aorta. So through the aorta it reaches, circulates throughout the body. Okay, now I'll show you an image of the heart. This is the image of the heart, which we will see in detail. And before that, I'll show a video for you for the structure and the functions of the heart.
Heart is a complex pumping organ. If we gradually dissolve into a section of the heart, we observe that it receives deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body in its right atrium. After this, the tricuspid valve opens and the blood keeps flowing into the right ventricle. Then, the right atrium contracts, pushing the remaining blood into the right ventricle. This in turn contracts to push the blood into the pulmonary arteries, which carries the blood to the lungs. The pulmonary vein brings back oxygenated blood into the left atrium of the heart. During arterial contraction, blood passes through the bicuspid valve in the left ventricle. During ventricular contraction, the blood pushes its way into the aorta, from where it flows to various parts of the body. The heart muscles continuously generate impulses which cause the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of atria and ventricles. These impulses are generated by sinoatrial and oriventricular node. Inside the heart, the blood flows in a specific direction. Contraction of the atria is called atrial systole. At this time, the ventricles are in diastole. Then the ventricles contract. It is known as ventricular systole, and atria are in diastole. This sequence of events, which occur from the beginning of one heartbeat to the beginning of the second one, is called the cardiac cycle.
Yeah, children, I think you got a rough idea of the structure of the heart. Now, again, just to look into the image of the human heart, right? So, how can you remind these parts is, number one, first left atrium, left ventricles, right atrium, right ventricles, right? So 4 major parts, followed by, you just think about the pulmonary arteries and pulmonary vein. So 6 parts, and followed by superior and inferior vena cava and aorta. So like that, you just to keep that in your mind to remind the parts of the heart. Just to check into the heart structure. Right. This is a task. Like as you have seen the image of the heart, just to try to match the parts of the heart which is given in this image. Left ventricle, right ventricle, left atrium, right atrium, and in the septum, aorta, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, superior and inferior vena cava, tricuspid and bicuspid valve. Okay, so till now we have got an idea about how the heart has been cleaved into 4 major chambers and how it will receive the blood, what is aorta, what is pulmonary artery and vein. Right. So in this, an extension of that particular topic, we can see the question. Why are the walls of the atria is thinner than that of the walls of the ventricles? Yeah, this is because the contraction don't need to be that powerful. Actually, compared to the atria, ventricle needs a little pressure for the pumping of the blood. But in case of the atria, it does not. It doesn't need any sort of a pressure to pump the blood. Just from the upper side, it has to pass the blood towards the bottom, that is ventricle. So this is because the contraction don't need to be that powerful, as the blood only need to travel down a short distance to the ventricle. From the atrium, it has to move towards the ventricle, so that the atrium wall is thinner than that of the ventricles. And now the second question followed by that is, why is the wall of the left ventricle is thicker than that of the right ventricle? See, leave the upper atrium. If you look into the ventricles, that is in the bottom, left and right ventricles are there. Comparatively to the right ventricle, the left ventricle is thicker. The reason is the muscular wall in the left ventricle, as I already said, left hand side it carries the oxygenated blood, and that blood it moves towards, it circulates throughout the body. So for the circulation it needs much pressure. It has to pump little with the pressure so that it may circulate throughout the body. But in case of the right ventricles, the blood, that is, it carries the deoxygenated blood, it has to just move towards the lungs, which is placed little near to the heart alone. So comparatively to the left ventricle, the right ventricle is thinner. Left ventricle is thicker than that of the right ventricles. Now we will enter into the topic valves, right? So you got an idea about the structure of the heart, right hand side and left hand side, oxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood, and also we had a rough idea about the pulmonary veins and arteries. And now we are going to see about the valves. The direction of the blood flow through the heart is maintained by the valves. Actually, the backflow can be prevented with the help of the valves. You just imagine if there is no valves, there will be a backflow of the blood, so that the deoxygenated blood get mixed. So to avoid that, the valves are present. It will stop the backflow of the blood. Okay, between the atrium, so now we are going to see two major valves here, atrioventricular valves. It has been placed between atrium and the ventricles. Atrium and the ventricles, we can find the AV valves, and these valves prevent the backflow of the blood from the ventricles towards the atrium. And the second one is a pocket-shaped valves known as a semilunar valves, which is located at the base of the arteries, which is responsible for transporting the blood just away from the heart and preventing the blood flow back into the ventricles. So these are all the two major valves, atrioventricular valves and semilunar valves. See the image, how the semilunar valves in the image. Can you see that? Semilunar valves. And you can find the atrioventricular valves, how it is present. Right. Now, these are all the key major terms, and also you should know about the tricuspid valve and bicuspid valve. Tricuspid valve, it is used to regulate the right hand side, and bicuspid valve, it is also called as a mitral valve. It regulates the blood flow in the left hand side. Tricuspid and bicuspid valve. So, can you see this slide? In this, I have mentioned some key terms. Can you recall it? What is septum? It is used to separate the left hand side and right hand side septum. What is artery? What is superior and inferior vena cava? What is aorta? Oxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood, semilunar valves. So these are all the major key terms that we have discussed till now. Aorta, vena cava, pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins, semilunar valves, and also atrioventricular valves. Now, so till now what we studied is about the heart, structure of heart. Now we are going to see how the structure of heart gets, it is used, function of the heart. The different types of circulation. Actually, the circulation of the blood, it is of two major types. One is a single circulation, another one is a double circulation. Single circulation, from the name it is very clear, single, one time. So in this case, the blood pumps once in the heart, right? So the single circulation has only one circuit, and the heart has only one chamber and two pumps. The heart has pumps blood through only one direction. And a very good example for the single circulation is fish. Next is the double circulation. Yeah, this we can find in the human, right? The blood follows. Why it gets a name as a double means here it follows the two major routes. One for carrying the oxygenated blood and another for carrying the deoxygenated blood. Hence the name double circulation. So it gets a name as a double circulation. As you all know that deoxygenated blood in which side? Yes, in right hand side. And oxygenated blood in which side? Left hand side. Good. The majority of the mammals, that is including a human, utilize the double circulatory system. In this system, there are two major pathways. So as I mentioned, double circulation, the pathways are one, systemic circulation, another one is a pulmonary circulation. What is a pulmonary circulation? From the name it is very clear. Pulmonary in the sense lungs, right? So, which is clearly just observe it. The blood which has been collected from all the tissue of the blood tissues, that is a deoxygenated blood that enters into the heart, that is in the right hand side, and from there it moves towards the lungs. Okay, so collected all the deoxygenated blood from the tissues, enters into the heart in the right hand side and move towards the lungs for the purification. So that is a pulmonary circulation. And second type is a systemic circulation. Systemic circulation in the sense like the purified oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay, so oxygenated blood enters into the left hand side of the heart, and from there via aorta it moves to all systems, so that it is called as a systemic circulation. So pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation, these are the two major pathways which includes in the double circulation. Right, as I already said, the same thing which has been mentioned in this slide, systemic circulation carries the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to the tissue capillaries. The oxygen which is rich in blood, oxygen-rich blood is transferred to the aorta for circulating to the various parts of the body. And pulmonary circulation, as I said, the blood circulation starts from the right atrium to the left atrium in this pathway. The pulmonary artery collects the blood from the right ventricles and carries to the lungs for the oxygenation. For the purification purpose, it enters into the lung. That is a pulmonary circulation. So this is an image which shows the systemic and the pulmonary circuit. Can you see this? The left hand side, you just see that the left hand side, that is oxygenated blood that has been given in a red color. So the oxygenated blood enters into all the system for the usage. And once if it has been used in the various parts of the body, the deoxygenated blood which has been collected from all the tissues and enters into the right hand side, that is given in a blue color, right? So enters into the right hand side, and from there it enters into the lungs for getting purification. So this is called as the double circulation. So I hope that in today's class you got a clear idea about the structure and functions of the heart, and also about the circulation types, that is pulmonary and systemic circulation in case of a double circulation. And single circulation, a very good example is fish, right? So children, thank you, and I hope that this is the easiest way to keep it in your mind how the left hand side always it receives the oxygenated blood and deliver into the body tissue. Right hand side it receives the deoxygenated blood. So Lord, it is a very simple way to remember. So thank you children. I hope that this video made you to understand the concept of the function and structure of the heart. So keep in touch. In the next video, I'll show you how to draw the human heart. So until then, thank you children. We will see with a new presentation in the next class. Thank you.